T, and it's time for Mike and me. Mike, you just said to me it's a real macro market, so I just want to cover a couple macro things, but I have a lot of questions for you and how you're able to identify good small floaters because everyone that's probably listening has tried low floaters before and gotten stuck.
You have to
So,
have parameters just like you do any other trade, a
right.
plan before and after. I don't
Okay.
mean to interrupt you. No
No,
different.
no, no. So, uh, that's probably what's missing. I think a lot of us on those kind of stocks probably don't even do due diligence. We heard about it from somebody or somewhere, maybe looked at a chart and said, I'll throw a few grand at it. So we want to know how to be pros doing that. But let me start off with a couple of macro events that you talked about. So we failed to break down in the dollar on Friday, came back, and then 5, 10 minutes after I was off the air, because coming into this week, I thought there'd be a chance because of what happened Friday that we'd get another rally back towards resistance. But you can't argue with price action. I had people following the videos where just a quick review,
Sure.
missed this, but said to everyone, look, we're good enough to finesse an entry. We don't have to catch a top, and got short on this rally. It was in the room, it's on the videos, and caught this.
I'm looking at
Okay.
it in TGH right now
Okay.
as I go over our material.
And then from here I said, 105 was a big area. We could rally back towards 105, 104.80 to 105, and 104.80 little scalp, 105 a better scalp. And then I thought that if we were going to rally, uh, telling people to protect themselves over 105.70 if they wanted to stay short. And here we are. So, even from 104.80, it's a nice trade, about 75. So you have to respect the breakdown. There are many times when a market breaks a trend, and this is not just a short-term trend. It goes
That's a
back
4 hour. I see.
and here's a daily, so it goes back to the end of 23 with real nice tags along the way, even one a week ago. So we have a breakdown. I see support, 3.5 to 2. I think those will be the next stopping points. But you could get a rally back to the breakdown of the trend line, comes in around 104.50. So if we get, strong NFP, that would be an area. And what's good about this being an additional signal, it means for all of your positions, if you see this market closing back within the trend line,
Mm-hmm.
it regains trend. You don't want to be short because then we could get this rally maybe back to 550 or so. So it's a signal. It was an add-on, but all of these shorts that you have from 5 and 480, if we start closing back over, I give it a little room. Call it 460.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get hurt. Okay, you should have been taking partials along the way on this and then here. So the big picture is, and that's why I maintain my bearish stance, is that um, 103.80 is big, but really it's this 102 area that I think we're headed towards if you have equality
Wow.
from here
Okay.
to here. And eventually, um, 95, 92, I could come up that with off the weekly. Dave Hunter's looking for 80.
Incredible. Is this
He's
it,
looking,
coach? We haven't gone up enough for us to capitulate, have we?
well, we moved sideways. I
Yeah.
mean, this was the top, right? So back in October of 22, and we've never been able to do this. Is not bullish action. What this is you had a big break, and the market has just worked off its oversold condition in time rather than price. I don't think we had more than a 50% retracement. So the big bears are saying once we break 100 and you go from here 115, that gives you 85. but the more reasonable bears are talking more like 95 to 92.
Right.
That's a big trade from here, and that should have a lot of impact. And the
A lot of
second
rip.
one,
Right. It was look at the right side of your screen already, and look what's
yeah,
with it. God forbid,
yeah. So there's going to be ripple effects that should be supportive for everything, actually, especially commodities. You know, gold, copper. But what's happening right now is interesting. I wanted to cover the gold because I've been talking about 2250 to 2280 since, you know, although I missed a nice part of the up move, doesn't mean that, you know, I can't be patient and wait for the next setup.
uh,
So here it is down here, 2150. I mean, 2250, 2280. Silver's almost at its, uh, you know,
so
50-day
I'm gonna
comes in around 28. So these are nice pullbacks to buy. The shares are getting whacked pretty good.
I'm gonna answer your question if I may interrupt, so we can close on
Go
metals. They're also taking very bearish flow too.
Okay, so there's put buying in the
Yes,
metals.
there is. I didn't want to interrupt, but we can just
Did
conclude
it
on the
happen
metals.
yet yesterday or this is new today?
This is new today.
Okay, so then this
GOLD.
okay.
They're actually putting bearish on NEM, which I'm not surprised about if you look at
Yeah.
the chart.
What
And
strike
SLV,
what strike are they buying on
uh,
Newmont?
June, they're close. They're playing the volatility short term.
Okay, but what's the strike price? Not the time, not
No,
the
I'm not. I'll go back. You know what? Hold on. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'll get it. I didn't
okay.
write down the strike
All
price.
right. So anyway,
Okay,
you're
here it is. GDX 35.
okay. I want to know the 35. So they're buying in the money stuff now. Okay. All right. So here's GDX. They're in the money. I'm thinking there's a chance for, you know, 32.
Silver loading puts to 26 and a half SLV.
Okay. All right, silver. That's going to get to the futures. I it was a week ago. I started talking 2750, 28 to 2750. That's here. Okay. And so the silver shares are getting pretty cheap. You know which one has really a nice pattern? It wasn't the best performer,
Let
but it
me
was a
guess.
good. Go ahead.
EXK.
No, that was an outperformer,
Okay.
and that's EXK. There it is. I think you'll be able to buy this thing between 3 and 240.
I did too. I
The,
kind of led you into that.
okay, and but this one has really a classic one because it didn't make new highs like EKG did and Fortuna did. It made a lower high, but to me it looks like you're just going to get an A, B, C, and I'll be looking at this at about 5.5.
You know what? That actually might be the barometer with that ABC pattern that FSM will do.
Yeah, yeah. So it, kind of led the correction.
Not bad.
So maybe it's the first to turn. All right, and just one more market, Mike, and you helped me a lot with this over the last couple of months. It's TLT.
Mm-hmm.
Mike kept TLT was lower, making new lows, whatever. And Mike kept saying they're selling the hell out of TLT puts. They're selling. I said, Mike, the market's down. They're selling puts. He goes, and it went on for days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that really did
That's the first
signal.
time you ever heard my cliche, don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, and it set the bottom, and then I talked about us getting back inside the wedge, which was the signal. Under here you didn't know if it was going to keep going, but just like I'm talking in the dollar now, if it gets back within trend over 104.60, you don't want to stay short. So this was a signal. And I said, people are starting to get real bearish again. I said, well, this was 5 waves, so you have to buy a correction. Okay, so last week we were here and it was
Coach,
looking bleak. We had 2 failed auctions, and look at where they are now. We're threatening a breakout.
Coach, I'm not. As everybody knows now, I'm trying. I'm trying to post less but more quality. TLT.
Yeah.
I'll show you when you share a screen. I want you to finish naturally because I have some
Okay.
questions. But they
Because
bought
I'm
TLT calls yesterday, right? I posted it. They bought
okay.
TL calls yesterday.
Well,
Look at
I
the
would,
gap up.
I was posting in the room here, critical support. That was a low last week. You would have gotten the calls a little cheaper. But I don't see and hear everything you do either. So anyway,
But we should have taken more of a macro cue because that was it's not just like Apple bouncing off the 200 day taking some calls out a month. That was
oh,
a
okay. All right. So I think we're going to have at least this from here. So, here you're talking about 82 and a half, about 18, 18 points. So 18 points from the lows that we put in here. 87 gives you 105. So right around here. And if they really get going, 120, which would still just be a correction when you think about it, like a hell of a bear market rally. But from where they came, 120 is just old support, 109, old support. 120 is just what? Not even a 50% correction.
no.
So I like the bonds, and part of that scenario is a weaker dollar. It should help the market, but Mike, last week I said there was a day, I think it was Thursday, yields down, dollar down, market heavy, especially tech. And even today, yields are down. Look how much the 10 years dropped since you and I talked last
Coach, it's
week.
so
And
refreshing.
look at that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna. It's
from
so
from from 78.6, and this was called on videos and you and I talking. Here we are back at lows. May hold here, but you know what? We're going under 4% in the 10-year. And that certainly was not the call a week ago. People were
and that's
talking
why it's
about,
doing what it did because it was
yeah,
unexpected. It was either crowded or unexpected.
people were
Uh,
starting to talk hikes.
exactly. So,
Yeah. Anyway,
but
I noticed the copper stocks are taking a hit. Everyone got too bulled up on copper. Um, uh, Freeport looks heavy. It's almost anything that
you know
if you
what
drop it and it falls on your foot, it'll hurt.
the
That's what's
problem
going down.
the problem now is everybody was long copper and some commodities, but everybody now are still long, still the Mag 7. So you don't know. Oil took it.
Oh, oil. God, that is a big story.
It's a major story. It was a major story in TradeGate Hub. And
Yeah, I mean,
in all due respect, I think
look at
Mr.
that
Hunter might
gap.
be wrong on this one. You were bearish on this thing.
Yeah. So
Look at them
anyway,
all. Look at Slump. I'll point on my screen in a second. You give the big
all right.
situation in
So
crude, coach.
that's it. That's macro. The dollar breaking down, gold and silver correcting, the miners setting up buying opportunities, the bonds buy breaks, dollar sell strength, and I'm turning over the screen to you. And
Let me
I'd
leave
like
one
to.
more thing. I want to put because I can't. Today is Tuesday. We already ran. We can't. You can't really go back through all the data. Hedge funds are still the most short. They are the Dow. And the Dow's the first to come back here. Remember that. Uh, the most underweight and shorted right now are the Dow stocks.
Wow.
So keep that in
Okay.
mind.
Well, here I'm thinking the S&P, if it holds here, we got to clear this to get one more high, but I don't expect a new high in the Dow. I expect a lower high in Dow, a higher high in Nasdaq, and a higher high in S&Ps, and the Dow not making a new high. So they might get squeezed for a rally to, in this area, but that's a sell to me being wrong over 40,000. Those are my calls. The next one's yours, 800-899 bear. I had a phone number like that, Mike.
Did you?
Yeah, and you know what? I get calls. People will call me and go, "Oh, I love those Vermont teddy bears. I want the Valentine's bear."
I don't know. They call
Uh,
isn't a bear named for a big homosexual man too?
Oh, I don't know, but they were
That's what I
selling
heard. That's
Teddy.
what someone told me once, but I don't know about that
Oh,
one. You might be getting
yeah.
called there too, there,
I,
Daddy.
I would, I would let go of that friendship. Anyway, Vermont Teddy Bear was the company.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
all right.
Or Build a Bear Workshop, BBW, might be
Yeah.
squeezed in. All right, you want to
Yes.
change?
All
You
right.
want to change, Coach?
Yeah. And why don't we start with the low floaters and your parameters? Because I know you have some on and why they're really exploding and outperforming. But, what are your contingencies for going into a low floater?
The contingencies are. May I share my screen?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. TradeGATEHub, sponsored by TradeView Markets. Look at this. I want to show you right now. Hope new share, my news feed. MLGO 600%. That was one that was up early, highlighted in the room. I'm not in it. NVO highs in the fund. Lewis, you're welcome. VSTE halt. They're taking up below floaters. I got a couple of them, and I'm just waiting. Sober. All right, so they're taking up okay. My point being, as long as we're here, here's Fear and Greed from the Jesus feed. That was just posted a little while ago. You can find that anywhere. There's Fear and Greed. I don't know how you can get fear and then one greed. I don't know how that happens. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crypto. Greed. Duh. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
long at well, you know what? I don't want to get into too much on my screen. The bottom line is, because I'll get distracted with the low floaters, which you just got it. First of all, it's almost like an option. You never buy, you always buy the bid and never buy the ask. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
have to understand, you have to understand what catalysts involved. You have to understand time more than anything, it's timing. I'm in a couple of low floaters that popped 400, popped 400% the other day, but only took an hour, and it won't pop then again for another quarter. You know what I mean? So you have to know what you're in for.
How do you know? Do you look at the jockey, the CEO of these companies?
No, I look at the shares outstanding. I look at the percentage short. I look at how if any of the stocks in the relative sector are also starting to percolate, even if you will. I like to see if there are any best of breeds out there that are acting well, and maybe they take one of these. They just
Oh,
say, okay, everything is already up there. Let me try to do anything, and you might get desperate or sharp or whatever, or just try to do it. That's it really. Getting
okay.
into TGH. Looking yesterday, first of all, I want to implore everyone, either whether you're dealing with today's video or for a while, always go to our video. Please, I implore you to go to yesterday's video. I did garner 82 views somehow, and that's because I probably gave everybody that GTLB. Watch GTLB. That was a good short. It was a little taste of what was going on yesterday, as you can see a day ago. Cat lows. Oil's a problem. Now, I've been trading individual stocks or giving you I like this here, but I'm starting to give away, sectors. And I'm not really a sector guy. Obviously I've been doing this for 3 decades. I'm not going to shortchange myself. It's not my greatest acumen. Obviously, I'm advanced at a high level with looking at sectors, but I like to look at things where there might be discrepancies in stocks and sectors. So oil's a problem, macro.
It is.
TLT, bullish. I didn't post yesterday. That's all I posted right here, like 8 posts. PLT, bullish wise guy action.
I don't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oil's a problem.
They're buying the
Energy, news
94s.
lows of the day.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, another one, CCL sneaky. I didn't post many, so maybe my third post was up to 1.10%. SMCI triangle breakdown. Take a look at that. Riven calls again. So Nvidia finished at the highs. And by the way, there was Coach's original dollar breakdown, which you mentioned in the video, also posted 17 hours ago. So this is nothing new. And if you took the lead, you probably made a good trade in or followed even, it's a redundant term, macro. But macro is when you can wait. When I say macro, I'm not talking about old guys sitting in the bond market. I'm talking about trading 8 or 10 stocks in the oil sector and taking advantage of a down swoop. I maybe not be a macro sector. I might be, have a couple of little floaters, or I might have, some Apple that may be holding up. But the real money is made in the groups, as we've been seeing. A lot of these bifurcated moves in individual sectors been happening. But you know what? Now they're taking everybody with individual groups. Golds are going down, oils are going down. Retailers are getting a little funky. Bios are down. Banks are not acting well. And I don't want to go to any charts at this moment, but then when I say macro, I'm talking things are moving in groups, not this stock picking, if you will. So I don't want to shortchange that macro view because you know what? That's where the real money is made on on trading is, not one or two positions. It's taking advantage of some sort of secular move, if you will. So there you are, coach, right there. Again, we came in sentiment a little bit mixed. Now we're, a little bit down. Uh, giving not really GS moves, spot silver for, so we're giving always on TradeGATEHub. I don't want to get distracted. Upgrades, downgrades. We give our opinions if asked. High grade research, option flow. Our videos, will never hurt you. Planeteer highs, Bitcoin highs, coin highs. Okay, you're never going to be short of ideas or what financial instruments to trade, and you're never going to be overwhelmed. Uh, what we do is I consider when I trade my best, it's clean. Clean is meaning trading 3 to 4 things: option flow, volume, sentiment.
So we've had a little spillover weakness in the oils into the uranium sector.
The CCJ got hit today.
Yeah, all of them did.
Goldman
URA.
called the top on that one on CCJ. They got out right at the very top.
Well,
And by
remember I was talking about it was churning up there.
yes. You know what,
Okay, and
Coach? Let me be a man here, and I'll get to my screen. Actually, let me leave it off. But I remember when CCJ was churning, and then I bought the stock UEC, and it wasn't going. Then Goldman upgraded CCJ, and not to be pessimistic, I just thought that was a chance for them to get out a little bit at the top because it made a nice move, and all the option flow kind of had dissipated, propelling the stock a little bit up. And I get it. I would do the same thing. Maybe I'm sure it's going higher, but right now they're having a nice pullback.
rest. Yeah,
You can even go to
just like the copper stocks. It's not the end of the bull market.
no.
Bull markets go through corrective processes too.
There's our top U.S. losers on TradeGATEHub. All right, here. That's it. I'm sure there's some copper on here. Huma,
Well, they were
Huma,
bringing back Freeport a little bit.
Report. Yeah, SMR. That was called. You know what? SMR is $1. Warren Buffett yesterday went out of business. It was bankrupt. It was down 99%. If you didn't hear that,
And
did you
he
see that?
owns it. He owns it.
No, there was a major New York Stock Exchange glitch yesterday. That's why.
Oh, I see.
I'm being facetious. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I'll leave it there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's one of those days.
We still have a lot of action. We have the ECB Thursday, BOC tomorrow. I'll get more into individual currencies tomorrow on the stream, and then the granddaddy NFP.
Okay.
So the market's expecting, and the way the bonds are acting, they're expecting maybe a little weakness, not a real strong number. A real strong number will make it pretty interesting. Oh, you know what? I want you just to show. You want to show this? But I'd like you to show the Indian market, the Nifty
Oh,
50.
I thought this is my video that I made. It
Yeah,
just
I
came in
saw
on
that.
trading.
So there's where Tim was engaged.
It was. This is Hub in the background.
Yeah.
The
How come your wife was so far away
boss line.
from your
Why? I told
filming?
her to stand. Well, I told her to get out of the picture. She insisted. No. She insisted on it. I said, get the hell out of there. No, this Mrs. Hub's actually
Okay.
quite the nice looker. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't want her to get distracted. NVO, our boy Roy Mattox, player.
I don't know him.
You should. He's
Why don't
adding
you
to
invite him?
NVO. He's adding to NVO just now, like he
Why don't
should
you
be,
invite him to TradeGate Hub?
because I believe he
Uh,
has a service as well.
well, all my guests do.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know what? I'll give Roy a call. I'm not sure. There he is. I'm not shy. Hey, Roy,
All
hop
right.
on
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
NVO adding into the fund. So that's it, coach. You know what I mean? Sector performance is it here. Follow Brad. Great follow for tell stocks the stocks that are up the most of the day in biopharma, all that type of stuff. So go to my Twitter feed. You know what I mean? And besides TradeGATEHub, it's curated. I follow only 74 people. One of them being coach and one of them being TradeGATEHub, TradeView Market. So there's 3 lessons. So it's concentrated. It's I don't it's not like I'm checking off Maxim girls or anything like that. It's purely financial, and it's for the best of breed and the people that I go to. And That's where I sit.
All right. Good hunting, my friend.
You too, Coach. Thanks for the
All right.
segue. Planeteer highs, VIX. All right.
All right. So that's a wrap, everyone. Don't just count your gains and don't freak out over your losses. You can't get into the boxing ring without getting hit. Keep your hands up, as Mike says, and we'll see you in the room.
You
Thanks,
want to
Mike.
get hit. You get hurt. You learn more by taking a beating than when you don't. Get
Hey,
hit.
there are so many quarterbacks that don't feel like they're in the game until they get hit.
You got to get hit. And you want to get hit, get a demo. You want to get hit and get back up and be a hero, get a live account on TradeView Markets. Have a nice day.
Adios, Mike.
Cheers.